Hello, Candace.
Hello, Adam. Okay, so I have good and bad news. Okay, so the bad news is that, I may get fired.
I see.
Yeah.
What did you do?
I don't think I did anything that wrong, aside from just not know what I was doing, I guess, and not get trained correctly. But I have a whole tribunal thing, at 7:30, which is in like an hour or so.
I see. We are opening in an hour or so.
I know. I'm so disappointed, to be honest. But yeah, I planned this before we got our business license, and so I kind of need to be there. I'm gonna try and keep my job. Don't worry. And I do want to tell you that even if I do lose it, I plan to stay clean because I don't want to jeopardize the cabaret in any way. Deep breath, guys. Deep breaths.
The reason we're here, I'm just going to run through essentially how we're going to run this, and we'll kick it off full form. Okay, so this is a tribunal, and it's addressing some concerns in, well, Candace the fit, and with some policing attributes of mishandling of evidence and some conduct issues. Okay, how we're going to run this, there'll be essentially, we'll kick things off. We'll sort of give you a statement of fact or a statement of what the incident is about. I think Lou will just lead with that. We'll then basically offer Candace a chance to talk uninterrupted and basically give a start to finish sort of recount of you know, what happened and statement of event. If there's any other evidence that you do have, such as, you know, photos or, you know, phone records, anything like that which you want to hand over, you may. We'll probably then take a small break, okay? And then just we'll have a chat between us, and we'll just, you know, maybe look at what you've told us versus what we've been told, and collate some evidence and get some questions ready. Hopefully that shouldn't take longer than 10-15 minutes. Just gives everyone a little break. And then once we will get you back in, we'll ask you these questions directly, okay? And only you can answer these questions. Archie is kind of here as a supporting you know, party for you, okay? So you can go away and confer with him after the fact. You know, once we take these pauses, you can talk to him. You've probably already talked through
really
sort of, your things, okay? And then what we're going to do, once we've done all that and the question's done, we will ask you to sort of leave again, and we'll have another discussion, and then we'll discuss some outcomes, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, any queries of any of that?
I want to know how the outcome works. Is the voting system?
Yes. So the outcome, so there's going to be, how we're going to discuss things, okay? There's going to be a majority is required for termination. So at the minute, your employment, we're all employed at will, so we can terminate anyone for any reason we find fit. Now, this, I'll read you basically the blurb. So this will kick off the proper meeting, okay? You've been asked to provide information as part of an internal police investigation. Failure to fully cooperate with this investigation may subject you to disciplinary action, including termination. Please be advised to protect your Fifth Amendment rights. None of this will be used in any criminal proceedings, or, you know, which may follow potentially, right? So none of this, we're not trying to charge you. We're not going to try to put you in jail, all right?
Okay.
Now, let me just pull up the date. I think it was the 16th, if I recall.
15th.
15th, 16th. That depends what time of day you're in, I guess. Yeah, for me, it's the 16th, but 15th, 16th. So probably for Candace, it would have been about 1 a.m. You're up late that night, it seems, huh?
Yes, much later than usual.
Okay. Well, do you understand what you're in here for, or do we need to break down?
I think so, because I had to go to Harold earlier, and I asked him what it was.
Do you want to just repeat that so everyone's on the same page? So we make sure you understand. Otherwise, we can break it down.
I think it's better if you tell her, so we don't miss something.
That's fine. So at the minute where there's an investigation, a command report which was taken, okay, Sergeant Ron Paxton made a report and investigated some misconduct. There was an incident regarding yourself, I believe, a kidnapping of yourself. You got transported. Two individuals sort of held up or took some other member, I believe, of another gang. They stole that individual's phone. That phone was then somehow given to you, and that phone remained on you until such time. I think it's still in actually our evidence systems. It hasn't been returned to the individual. And then there was some concerns about what happened after the fact. You know, we want to figure out what you did, why you did it, realistically, and break it all down as best possible so we can understand, you know, why these statements were made, why things were changed, all that sort of thing. All right.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So let me just get my notes ready.
Ha!
And if you're ready, Candace, you may begin. So if you want to start all the way, maybe the start of the event, which I believe you're probably at the cabaret, as far as I recall, and how that situation sort of unfolded.
Yes, of course. And is it okay if I just preface this with, if I do ever take any pauses or stop to think for a second, it's
You
just
take all the time you
You're
need, please.
totally fine.
Okay,
And if you
good.
need to take a break, please let us know. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll do.
Yeah, there's no rush to blurt this all out, okay?
Yeah, I understand severity, and I don't want to misspeak
No,
or
take
anything.
your time. You're good, Cam.
Okay, perfect.
Can I ask more questions about the tribunal format if she's taking her time here?
Sure.
If we're operating on a voting point of view, I'm going to bring this up to the entire room, not just for you, Dokes, as I was doing earlier. I do not think two participants in here should have a say in voting because there's complaints openly against from Candace to those two participants. If the point of a tribunal is to be for a fair outcome, I don't think they should have a say. I think they can be here to listen, but I don't
It's a
think
good
they
thing
should
we're
have
the boss, right? And you're Sergeant, aren't you?
if that's the direction you want to have, then I think that says a lot.
Oh
I'd be interested to
my
hear the sheriff's point of view on it.
God.
Look,
What?
the outcome the sheriff will be in here with Archie, and I'm more than willing, once we've talked about these sort of things, to talk through the outcomes with both you and Candace present. All right.
That sets the tone.
Well,
doesn't
These
it?
are objective facts that we're discuing.
Yeah, we're
Right.
right now. There's complaints open between Lou and Candace, etc. The
Connie,
thing is, and Connie. So they're still lieutenants, okay? They still run the police department. They still have a say. I do understand if there's any bias, but right now we are trying to work without bias. Now, you may seem that's pretty impossible, but we are going to objectively look at the facts, right? So we want to see the facts which we have on paper versus Candace's spoken testimony to us, and then cross-compare them, and then ask questions around that. If that's understood.
This didn't need to happen. This tribunal. This is a pleasantry offered.
Right.
Pleasantry.
It doesn't. That doesn't eliminate bias. Your pleasantries
Right,
does not
but-
eliminate logic.
Right, but this doesn't need to happen, right?
Right.
We
But
could just
I-
take action without this.
You can repeat what you've said, but that doesn't eliminate bias.
Right, and we're
At the
looking
point
at
of-
objective facts.
Where's the
here.
bias coming from?
Yeah.
So there's
I'm
open
confused
complaints
too.
between Candace and Lou, and Candace and Connie. There's been previous comments which have been made, which would indicate, if true, and I'm not saying that they aren't, they're open complaints, that they are not particularly fond of Candace. So if they're
I actually
at
like
the
Candace
point
a
of a
lot.
tribunal, still speaking, if the point of a tribunal is for a fair outcome, then there is bias involved here.
Understood, but I'm going to refer back to Archie what we discussed previously. You're here not as a command member, you are here as an individual to represent and help Candace along the way. We will discuss them points as command, and we will include you in that discussion, all right? I think it's important we don't waste any more time. We let Candace just get it out, and then we can work around that.
I understand it. It might. I mean, ultimately, the across from you are lieutenants, where there's always going to be some kind of crisscross and who likes who and who likes that. But I'm here as a sheriff. I'm going to be observing the facts, and I'll also be taking part in here. So I don't think. I mean, there could be bias in any facet, but
Yeah, should we get the people out of the tribunal that like Candace as well?
okay, Caruso, just
If we're talking
professional, being-
bias, it's on both sides.
What are you saying, Dokes and the other three, or
I'm not pointing any fingers. I'm just making a clear statement, like you made a clear statement.
yeah?
All right, we're
I
getting
mean,
off track.
ultimately,
Yeah,
at the end of the day, we got We got lieutenants here that are going to be objective based on the facts. If I believe they're not being objective, then I'll do something about it.
Thank you, Sheriff.
That's reassuring to hear, Sheriff. I'm
Thanks,
glad
Sheriff.
you're here.
me too.
Oh, fucking
All right,
hell.
Candice, are you okay to begin? You want to get a glass of water or anything like that before you go?
I think McKay will just quickly take a sip.
That's all right.
Mm.
I know this is a lot of pressure. You're getting a lot of faces
Yeah,
staring at you.
Just a little bit. My job depends on it, and I'm just. It's fine. I got this. Okay. Alrighty. So, on the 15th into the 16th, I was working the cabaret, as I do most nights. And I met someone called Ray there. That was the first time meeting her. I didn't know before. And we were about to leave. And upon going to leave, I got held up by some members of the Marabunta. And they made me get into their car, and they took me up to Vinewood, into an alleyway just below Vinewood Boulevard. They held the gun up to me and told me to give them my phone. And they also then told me to give them my PIN number. They got me out of the car, and then they left me there. So I was left with no phone and no way to contact anyone. So I walked all the way from Vinewood area down towards VPD. I stopped to buy a new phone at the 24/7 just down the road, and then went back up to VPD to try to find someone to report the kidnapping to. So the first person I saw was Mr. Terry Calhoun, who was very flustered and constantly hitting on me. He did take the statement, but did not do anything with it. So I gave him the statement in the thoughts that maybe he would do something with it. And then I got picked up by Ray, who was accompanied by Peach. And Ray and myself went to get my car from the cabaret so I could go home. And on the way, Ray stated to me something about how she had been in a shootout with one of my kidnappers. I don't know if it was one or multiple, I can't quite remember. But with some people that were involved in my kidnapping. And she'd ended up getting a burner phone from one of them. So she told that to me, and she gave me this phone that I thought was a burner phone at the time, because it had this unusual attachment on it. I'd never seen one before. She said it was a burner phone, and I assume that's what makes it a burner phone. So that all happens, and then we drive back to VPD. And when I get there, I realized that there isn't really any report up already. And with how Terry was like acting with me, I thought I wanted to let someone else know that I'd been kidnapped, because I was also aware that none of the PD had responded at the time too. And so I just wanted to make sure something could possibly be done. So I hopped on duty to see who was around. And as you mentioned, it was very late for me. And so the only person I recognized was Brooklyn Baker. And so I decided to call her, and I explained the whole situation. I said, I got kidnapped, and they took my phone. And then I said, I also have this phone that may be connected to the kidnapping, but it's locked. So how do I unlock it? And she said, oh, okay. There was an announcement, she said, I'll have a look at it. So she goes into the announcements and she has a look. And then she directs me to the area of where I need to unlock it. So I'm on the phone to her and I'm fumbling around trying to find where the place is. I couldn't figure it out at first. So I said to her, do you need to be like a certain rank to do this? Because I can't seem to figure it out. And she said, I don't know. I will come down and help you. And then while I was still on the phone, I managed to figure it out. So I unlocked the phone. And I had a quick look through the calls to see who had been calling. The name was Clee. And then I couldn't figure out who it came back to. So, you know how like you sign off messages with your name? You're just like, hey, this is Candice or whatever. So I had a quick scroll up in a couple of the messages to see whether a name was there. And it was. And I found who that came back to, which was a Mac McCann, which is a Marabunta member. And the numbers matched. And then at that point, I left that there. And I just kept hold of the phone because I was like, I just wasn't sure what to do with it. It was late. I'd just been kidnapped. This all happened in pretty much the half an hour after I got kidnapped. And then Baker on the phone had said to me, look, I know you don't want to do this, but can you write a statement for me and send it over? And so I then decided to go to my apartment and I wrote my statement and I sent it to her. I texted her, where do you want it? And she didn't reply, so I ended up emailing it because it was a pretty large statement. So then I went to sleep. And when I woke up the next day, I obviously still had the phone. And I realized that the phone just kept buzzing. It was blowing up. It was getting phone calls. There were texts coming through. And I thought, shit, this is not a burner phone. I was like, because I was like trying to think. I was like, maybe a burner phone would be like, maybe, I don't know. I was thinking a bunch of things. Like, I was trying to think of theories. And I was like, it just must not be a burner phone. And it must be a personal that has this attachment on it. And at that point, I was like, well, fuck, I don't really like know what to do with this. I don't know what I can do, what I can't do, whether it can be used or not. So I'm on my way to work while this is happening. And I bump into Faraday at PDM. And I have a quick chat with her. You know, I'm like, hey, can I talk to you for a sec? We exchange pleasantries. And then I explain how I got kidnapped. And, you know, we talked back and forth with that. She was like, hope you're safe, etc. She took my number so she could check up on me and things like that. And then I said to her, okay, so one more thing. I have this phone that I don't think's a burner phone anymore. I think it's someone's personal. What do I do with it? And she said, okay, well, is there someone that is dealing with your situation? And I said, yeah, Baker is. And so she recommended that I contact Baker and get Baker to deal with it. So I did exactly that. I texted Baker. I said, I've got something for you when you're around. And so then the rest of the day kind of went. I didn't want to see anything on the phone, so I made sure the phone was in the glove box while I tried to figure out what to do with it. And then I ended up speaking to Baker. And so we had a conversation on the phone. And I kind of explained the situation. I said, I spoke to Faraday this morning. I have this phone. I don't think that, like, I have this phone that I mentioned to you. I don't think that it's a burner anymore. I think that it is a personal. I don't know what to do with it. Like, if I'm not supposed to have it, then just let me know. I can throw it away. I can do whatever you need, like, me to do with it, right? And she said that she would go to command about it because we were both umming and ahhing. She didn't really know either. So she said she'd go to command and then let me know, because she also explained at that time that the wording on the report surrounding the phone was kind of bad. And I was like, oh, so like my mindset at the time was like, okay, well, do you want me to like change the wording? Do you want me to get rid of it? Like, because I don't really know whether this should be in here, considering I don't even know whether we should be using this. And then she said she'd speak to command and be in touch. So once I got off the phone, the cabaret was about to start. And so I took initiative and I went into the report and I went to my statement and I decided to take the last section out that was about Ray and the phone and just made it very brief. Like, I've got a phone from Ray that may pertain information to this situation. And the reason I did that was because what Ray had said to me was a word of mouth. It could have been hearsay. She could have been lying. I only just met the person. I don't know if she was lying or not. And so I took it out for that reason. I also realized that that section may not have been relevant in that section in my victim statement because it wasn't anything I saw specifically. It was what she told me. And so I thought it could have been better placed in the main body of the report. Alongside that, I didn't even know if it could be used, whether the phone could be used in this scenario or what even to do with it. So I decided to take it out. And I would like to state that I was very well aware that there was history there and that anyone could see it. I also, just so I didn't look sus, I made sure to message Baker as well that I had changed the report. So then, you know, I'm about to go to the cabaret and work there. And Baker messages me back and she says, if you want, you can put the phone into the report. So I said, okay. Yeah, I'll do that pretty much when I can. And so then I obviously had the cabaret. The phone remained in my glove box. The cabaret, I can't remember how long it went on, but I ended up passing out after that, going to sleep. The phone remained valid in my glove box for the night. And then when I woke up the next day, the first thing I did was take the phone to the PD and put it in the report. And then that was kind of that from my side.
All right, thank you. What we'll probably do here then, Candice, if that's is that your full statement? Anything else you want to add or think about right now? I mean, we're asked follow-up questions probably around this anyway. So.
Yeah, I think that's like the overall timeline and everything. Yeah, it's the Faraday's. I didn't miss the Faraday's stuff.
Thank you. What we're going to do then, we'll take
it.
a break now. Everyone can get a sip of water and whatnot. On command in here, so the LT's with me and the sheriff here will have a chat, and we will come up with some questions between us, which we would like to ask and what pertain to what we have been told and what we can see. And we'll go from there. All right.
Yeah. Oh, I guess one more thing is that Baker never got back to me. And the next I heard of it was actually from Ron. So the report is currently like, well, my witness statement is currently as it is. It's the amended version, but I have the first version that I did save just in case it needed to go back as well.
Okay. Yeah, we have that too because everything's logged.
Yeah. Perfect.
Okay, cool. All right, Archie and Candice, if you want to just either, you can go into one of the rooms down in the right here if you want and discuss between yourself, or just take a break and we'll call you back in when we're ready, all right? All right, for a time set, I can probably reel these off, and these are questions which are posed by all members of Command in here, okay?
Okay. Actually, can I have a question first too? What's Archery's involvement allowed in the question taking segment?
So at the minute, the questions are kind of to you. He's here as kind of like a support animal. So he shouldn't really be asking or yeah, exactly. Yeah. A witness, just so like you treat kind of fairly, that sort of thing. He's not here to interject or say, you know, it's not a courtroom, right? So. And he wouldn't know some of the answers to these questions anyway, right?
Okay.
Like if we're asking you stuff like, why are you doing this or whatever, like, and it's not relevant, sure, like I don't mind that. But all of these questions we've discussed and they're relevant to either the testimony you've just given or the written testimony, all right?
If she wants to decide, she has numerous ways to answer it. Can she confer?
Well, ideally, this should just come from you. It shouldn't be obstructed. It should just be the truth of how you feel it is. So you can take some time to think about each question. If it's complicated, I think it's easier that you just take your time, say, give me a second, think about it, and then reel it off, okay?
Yeah, again, just to clarify, you know, you're not going to have charges pressed on you after this, okay? This is
not
specifically
by us,
for this.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think that's what she's worried about.
No, well, right now we're
Probably
worried about
fired,
what we got to deal with.
Charged.
Yeah.
Well, charge may lead to firing, but we'll get to that. Okay, so I'm going to start with questions about all the way at the start when you got handed the phone. Did Ray tell you that she got in a shootout?
Yeah, she mentioned about a shootout, and she said, basically she got in a shootout with this person who was a marabunta, and then she ended up taking the phone.
So did Ray tell you that phone was stolen from the Marabunta?
She didn't actually state stolen. She said that she got it from them.
Just a follow-up question from that. Would that not mean if she was in a shootout and she took the phone from someone in that theory, that would be stolen? Would you agree?
Yeah, I guess technically, yeah.
Okay. When you was speaking with Baker, so obviously Brooklyn Baker was the officer who reported this. Did Baker reference the CID announcement over the phone to you?
No. So, okay, the announcement that was referenced was the one in the like PD wide announcements, which was, it had the picture of where it is, and it basically says something like, this is where you need to do it. If you need help, ask command. And that
Okay.
was what she was
She was
basically
reading that
leading
one.
me. That's where she was leading me to like where I
So
needed
she
to
didn't
go
read it,
from
or
there.
she told you to look at it?
We both looked
follow
at it
up
at the
to that?
same time, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah. After she found it, she was directing me. I think she said it was on the 26th, and then I scrolled up and had to look
All right.
myself too.
So then during the initial phone call with Baker, so right, the first call you had with her, did she ever mention going to command? Did she ever mention going to command before you did anything with the phone?
No. She said. So I think I was the first one to bring up command or something. I didn't actually bring up command. I basically said to her, how do I unlock it? She had a look. She started directing me. I then couldn't do it. I was fumbling around. I said, oh, do I have to be a certain rank to do this? Because I can't seem to figure it out. And then she was like, oh, I don't know. I'll try and come help you. She may have said something like, oh, possibly. It says about asking command for help. I think she may have referenced on the announcement, but she never said directly go to command about it. It was, I will come down and help you.
Okay, so in that initial call with Baker, she didn't tell you directly how to crack the phone. You kind of figured that out yourself, it sounds.
Yeah, she told me exactly where it was, and then I found the phone, and yeah, I managed to figure it out in the end myself.
And just leaning back into, I think the phrase burner phone was used. What is the relevance of a phone being a burner phone or not in your view?
Well, my knowledge of a burner phone is that it's like a one and done. It's you've got a phone, that's like the number, that's the only number. You can't like get it again. So it's like meant to be a throwaway. So my knowledge is basically that. That is like
Okay.
the only one, right? Like that is the only
Yeah.
phone you can get of that kind.
Okay. And why did you not speak to command when you received the phone?
Well, because at the time, it was very soon after I'd been kidnapped. So I was already shaken up. I also didn't see anywhere that it had said I needed to go to command. As I said in the announcement, it just said, go to command if you need help. And at that time, I had already called Baker. So I thought that Baker could help me out with it. And so I'm just collecting my thoughts. What was the next thing I was going to say? Could you repeat the question again? Sorry. I just want to make sure I answer it.
Yes, why did you not speak with command when you received the phone?
Oh, yeah. And because I also knew that it was a burner phone and I didn't really know exactly how they worked. I wasn't really sure whether like things disappeared off of them or like it was something like that. So I kind of, I guess, got a bit overzealous because I'm also, recently I got a bit more passionate with my job, right? And I kind of got a bit overzealous and thought, let me just go and quickly check this now before I go to sleep. I was really shaken up. I thought I'd just check it and then I would bugger off to bed, right? But then the next day, as soon as I realized it wasn't a burner phone, that was actually when I went straight to command, which is referencing the talk I had with Faraday.
With Faraday, did you actively seek her, or you just bumped into her at PDM?
Well, my plan was to go and speak to a member of command. When I saw Faraday, I thought, oh, perfect opportunity. Maybe I can catch her here while we both have time, you know, because she didn't seem too busy.
Okay. Then why did you keep the phone in your personal custody?
Well, because I didn't know exactly what to do with it. So on the first night, obviously I was trying to, there wasn't a report on the first night, so there wasn't even a place I could put it. And because I had to send my own statement that didn't get put up until like the early hours when I was sleeping. And then the next day, it was that I'd realized it wasn't a burner phone. I wasn't sure if we could use it. I didn't know what exactly to do with it. I didn't know whether it needed to be destroyed, taken somewhere else, or something else done with it. And so I kept it until I found that knowledge. And the whole like second day, which was the longest day, was the one that I was trying to figure that all out. I also thought like if I'd put it in like earlier that day, that it was like I didn't want to basically put this phone into evidence that like shouldn't even been used as evidence and then remove it from the report, because I just felt like that would be a way worse look than putting it in if it was going to be used in the investigation.
So I'm just writing up what you're saying. So give me a second.
That's okay.
And how long was it in your custody? Obviously, I know you kept it in your car, you said in the valet. How long was it with you after the time of you got it?
So when I received it, it was until I went to bed. I honestly couldn't tell you how long that was, because it was maybe an hour max, because I was just really tired. It was very late. And after I'd like, you know, had a quick look at it and then went to bed, I guess it was with me then. And then the next day, after it started blowing up, I had it in the car. And so then I guess it was one full day while I tried to figure out what to do with it. And then like an hour on each side of the next 2 days, either side of that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you wasn't always awake, obviously.
No, I was sleeping for a lot of it, yeah.
Why did you, well, why the obfuscation of the statement after the fact? So obviously your statement, you sent that, I believe, by email to Baker, that was put in, and then you amended that statement, but it was essentially a lesser version of the initial statement. Why did you do that?
Yeah, so after the phone call with Baker, which was the like day after I got kidnapped, and when I was trying to figure out what to do with the phone, on the phone to her, she had said that after I'd mentioned the phone and like I'd realized it wasn't a burner, she said that my wording was kind of bad surrounding the phone. And I was like, oh, fuck. Like, okay, well, do you want me to reword it? Do you want me to like get rid of the phone? Like, what do you want me to do? And I also realized that maybe it wasn't really the right place for it to go to. Like, it shouldn't have maybe been in my statement, because also I did not see that directly. I had heard that from Ray. And so I was thinking, you know, maybe people could bring Ray in and have a chat with her after if they actually wanted like a direct statement from her. Or I'm pretty sure there was actually a report in the end about the shooting. Maybe they could have referenced that. But basically, I didn't think it made sense in my own statement. It would have been better placed in like the body of the report. And aside from that, I also thought that I wasn't sure whether the phone or that section could even be used. And so I thought best to take it out until I found out and got more clarification on that. And alongside that, as far as I'm aware, witness statements can be changed up until the court case. So I didn't really think I was doing anything bad, especially by, you know, being upfront, letting Baker know, and being fully aware that there was a history tab there.
Okay. Do you know what the Fourth Amendment is, or I believe it's Article 4 in our current Constitution?
I don't think I could read it off to you. If you could
Okay.
just explain it to me, that would be preferable.
Well, there's basically, we'll get into that. I'll touch on it. That was just the question, really. We'll touch on the Fourth Amendment at the end of this and the articles and people's rights in this county. Okay, we'll get to that at the end. But I just want to see if you understood that as an officer. That's fine.
Yeah, no, it hadn't really been
okay.
described to me perfectly, so I don't really, yeah.
So, well, the follow-up question, I'll ask it anyway because it's here. Is do you know that cracking the phone, you know, without essentially probable cause, is a Fourth Amendment violation?
So
probably not. Go.
the only time that I kind of was really aware that it could have been a violation of some kind was on the second day, right? Once I realized it wasn't a burner phone, and it was actually kind of, Baker was saying, oh, I think we might need a subpoena for that. And so only kind of at that point, and that was when I was already asking her if we can even use it. And that was when basically she decided to go to command, because it seemed like a bit of an iffy area. But when I first did it, no, I wasn't aware. I wasn't. I think because and actually that was basically late on the second day. So when I first had the phone, no, and then it was like the second day, kind of in the afternoon, right near the end, and that was when I was like, kind of like, oh, and that was with the conversation with Baker, and when I was a bit like, that might be
Okay. And then that was kind of the follow up, which kind of answered me. It was like, if you were aware it was a violation, when did you become aware of it and how? And it sounds like to that, I won't put words in your mouth, but Brooklyn essentially discussed it with her after you thought it wasn't a burner phone. Is that correct?
Yeah, essentially. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now we're going to shift gear a little bit. How, as an officer, would you go about addressing concerns that your actions have now contributed to perception of corruption within the police department? How would you go about, looking at that from an outside view in?
Could you kind of repeat that?
So,
I want to make sure I understand it fully.
So, obviously, this whole thing addresses, looks at. Well, let me break it down, I guess, story by story mode.
Okay.
The optics of it right now is cop has taken phone from someone, which they shouldn't have had, and kept it, privately.
Yep.
And then only just put it in evidence, and we still shouldn't have it, but we do.
Okay.
That obviously raises some concerns that potential corruption is now happening in the department, and officers are acting and doing whatever they like and violating all sorts of rights. So I just want to say, you don't have to have an answer for this. It was just more of a question we want to put on there. But how would you address the concerns that your actions have now contributed to the perception that corruption is in the department? Is the question.
So are you basically asking me like what I've done may look like corruption and how I would like address that?
How would you? Yeah. So like you as an individual, and obviously you're not command, you won't have to fortunately make these decisions. But how, as if you were in our position right now, is kind of what we're getting at. If you're looking at yourself in the mirror, but I'm in your seat, I'm the Candace to fit, and you're me. How would you go about addressing, all of this?
Okay. Well, this is a weird question.
And you can say you don't have an answer for it, but it's something to think about, right? Because this is the position we're all in right now.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the main thing I would say is like, I would make sure I would, as you guys are doing now, have a conversation with said person, see what their intentions were, and then go from there on whether it needs a punishment or whether it needs more training or, what exactly that needs to happen going forwards. Actually, just talk to everyone involved, I guess,
Yeah. Okay.
If
Do you feel
in,
Yep. Go ahead, Sheriff.
just to add on to that, I guess it's more important as well as what is the perception of the public if an officer should do this and that go unpunished.
Well, I think that
If you're a member of
depends.
the public and somebody does that to your phone.
And you are a member of the public. You run your own company, right? Down at the cabaret.
I
Yeah.
don't think that's a fair question.
I mean, it's something to think about. I don't think it necessarily needs a direct answer, necessarily. Right?
Well, I'm only saying I don't think it's a fair question because there is no public perception in this case.
There will be.
Oh, but
we
that
get
could
to the...
be.
there
Okay,
isn't
get that
right now.
phone back. So what happens then?
Well, so this is what we lead on to. I think I will ask the question, Candace. Do you believe the police failed you as a victim, and where and when?
Oh, 100%. Well, when I got kidnapped, I was made aware that no one answered the 911s, no one responded, and no one cared. And then secondly, by that Terry guy for not taking my statement. And then I'd say maybe even like when I was asking like questions to a bunch of people, I don't know what I'm saying here.
Did you
And
believe
I
maybe
guess
finding
like,
the-
oh, I
Sorry.
know actually, sorry.
Yep. No, okay.
Baker didn't really know what to do. I guess this is kind of like what I'm trying to say is like she didn't really know what
Yeah,
to do.
yeah, no, that's
and
fine.
she,
Talk openly, huh?
Okay, and she made me write my own report, which I don't really think should have been the way. And
What would you have done differently if it was, say, someone as a victim and this happened to them, they were kidnapped and such? As an officer, I think you were failed on our side, and that's something we're going to look at outside of this tribunal. Okay, the officer who took the statement initially is terminated. He doesn't work for us anymore. Okay.
Okay.
But the other side of things, I think this kind of links back a little
They
bit
should probably let
to
Proben Cox know about
command,
that.
right? I think in that announcement too, it was like, if you don't know what's up, speak to command. Obviously, somewhere down the line, you got to command, either intentionally or not. It got escalated to this point that we're all around this table for however long, right?
Yes.
So I think that's something we need to, drill into people, and I think that's something we will take on board as command and make sure people can understand there's a clear direction and everyone's on the same page. But I think the final question from me, and anyone can interject at the end of this if there's something you've thought about while this is happening, is do you understand that your actions now may still be investigated by the DA independently of any police involvement once the phone is returned?
I'm so sorry, Blank. Could you say that again? The
Yeah,
last part of the question.
Ace, do you understand that your actions may still be investigated, and this could be criminally, independently of any police involvement, so none of us in here would be able to touch that investigation once the phone has gone back to that party, because it will be going back.
Okay. Oh goodness, I feel like there was so many things going through my head then.
That's okay. Just I can break it down again if you
okay,
like.
so can I ask firstly why why the phone is being returned?
It's theft. We have stolen property in our possession. We have no probable cause to have that in our possession. It was stolen from an individual, technically, in a sense, a victim, because that guy, to us, it looks like, and probably to you, that guy wasn't necessarily related in your initial kidnapping. We don't know that for sure, but the individual, these two individuals, Ray and another individual, essentially kidnapped and robbed and stole his phone. That was either in a silo, like it was separate from you. Like if they rolled up on you and it was all happening then and then, but this happened at a different place. They were down, I believe, in Alta Street. This happened. And you were just walking back from Vinewood at that point, right?
Yeah.
So they essentially went out and mugged the guy because he looked like a marabunta, and they stole his property. Then that property was then given to you.
I
right?
think
That's
that
where we get
that is they had, I'm pretty sure what Ray had said was that they were trailing my car, and so they knew that they were a third party involved in it, and that's why they were trailing it.
Okay, but still, if that guy or not was involved, I don't think there's any current evidence which pertains to that individual other than us having his phone, right? So you see the optics we're looking at through it. We have to look at the evidence we've got, the facts of the matter. I mean, sure, maybe we got him in our lineup. We could say, hey, yeah, that was one of the guys who robbed me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what what I need you to understand is kind of going back to the question, I'll just try and end, Sheriff, is that once this phone is going to go back, and it has to go back just because it's still, how we have it is criminal, okay? Like, we may as well have stolen it off someone on the side of the road at this point.
Okay, so can I ask a question about that then?
Yeah, for sure.
So what am I supposed to do if someone comes to me with stolen property? Am I just supposed to leave it with them? Or should I be, taking it from her and then maybe pushing a warrant out for Ray?
I think you can answer that question yourself as a police officer, can you not?
Well, no, the reason I'm asking is because it seems confusing with what you're stating. Like, should in this situation, this exact situation,
Says, hey,
should I not have
stole
taken
this?
it?
I stole this off somebody. They're admitting to petty larceny. They should be arrested.
Yeah, but well, I mean, okay, so in my situation, off duty, just been kidnapped, trying to report it. No one was caring. I'm not a cop right at that time. Is it in my responsibility then to take the phone and then...
I wouldn't say it's your personal
arrest
responsibility
her?
at that point. If someone's saying they got stolen goods and you're off duty, you are still a cop. But however, you went through quite a distraught, you were probably distraught. I won't speak on your behalf, but you were kidnapped, and the police at the time weren't helping you, and you were failed, right? So I understand how it looks, and we will take that into account when anything we come out of this meeting.
Mm-hmm.
But
also, I would like
think,
to say that I wasn't really aware for certain at that time that it was stolen. It was kind of like phrased as they got into a shootout with the kidnappers and then they got it. Like, so, I mean, as you say, technically it could have been classed as stolen, but at that point, I
Well-
wasn't really thinking this has been stolen in my, like, you know, disarray.
And this is where we just have to, we look back and we'll look at this as essentially a judgment, how your judgment was maybe impaired, or you failed your judgment on this whole part of the situation. But again, as I say, there are other factors. This isn't a cut and dry, simple thing, right? You were kidnapped, you went through a whole ordeal, you then got involved with another criminal matter, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Oh, also, like, so when I had the phone, I would have been very happy to give it over to Baker herself, if I had seen her in person. But obviously, since she got me to take my own witness statement, that's kind of why it ended up staying in my possession.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
So let me ask you this: once you're made aware that it is stolen property, and you're in possession of that, should the owner of that not receive that phone back when you're aware that it's petty larceny? What reason do we have to hold on to that?
Well,
Can I ask for clarity on that question? Am I allowed to ask for clarity on that question?
Sure.
Are you
So,
asking her as a victim, or are you asking her as a police officer?
She's in her as a police officer.
as a police officer, because she continued to investigate as a police officer, and she was made aware that it was stolen property as a police officer, was conducting an investigation as a police officer with that mobile phone after the fact of being a victim, which in itself is another,
Yeah,
But just on the
prosecution could have-
subject
well,
of-
the reason why I didn't actually take the like photos of the phone or actually document any of that was because, literally after the night I did get kidnapped and I went home, and then the next day I didn't want to be investigating my own thing, and after, Baker had said, write your own report and all that kind of stuff, I didn't document any of it because I didn't know whether it should be used. So I wasn't actively trying to investigate it. I know, like, tracking into the phone was overzealous of me, and I did do it, and maybe I shouldn't have at that time, but yeah, I wasn't actively trying to.
It was stated on the report that you had gone into the phone, you were looking into it, and you had since edited that, but at that point you are aware that the phone is stolen, are you not?
Yes.
The phone belongs to somebody else.
And I believe in the
yeah,
initial
yeah.
statement you
Yes.
referenced it being stolen as well.
So what I'm asking you is, should that property not be returned to its rightful owner?
Well, I think that depends, if the phone was used for the kidnapping, and whether it is
But that,
evidence of a crime.
but should you not go through the proper channels to subpoena the records of that phone?
See, that's one thing I was going to say too, is I wish I knew more about burner phones and subpoenas, because I actually didn't really get taught any of that stuff.
Yeah, and we touch on that as part of this outcome, okay? Because obviously, I think there's shortcomings in that. Lou can explain probably, unless anyone has any questions put to the table right in this second, Harold, Connie, and Lou, and even the sheriff.
Nope.
Okay, Harold. Connie. All right, sheriff, got anything? Last questions?
That's all.
I think that the question I asked at the end, I don't think you got a formal answer for, but I just wanted to understand, Candace, about, the DA is going to be looped in just to give the phone back, essentially. There'll be a process that we need to make contact with this individual. And, any questions they ask of why we got it, et cetera, will have to be answered, because we can't lie about that sort of thing, right? But the whole situation, this particular conversation we had in here, none of this is going to pertain to any investigation. It will only be the reports of, criminality, in the sense of, like, the 2 reports about things around this. All right. It's just, I want you to understand that they will be looking into it. And I just want you to say, if you understand that they will probably be looking into it, they may not. But I kind of, in a degree, you wish they won't.
Mm-hmm.
But that is potentially an option, right? Because we can make an outcome here if you're not terminated, all that sort of stuff. But if they come down the line and want to push a felonious charge on you, you're going to have to fight that with your attorney and things like that, right?
Yeah. Okay. I
Yeah,
I
okay.
guess another thing that I maybe should bring to light is that I like the next day after I'd taken the phone in like that state of mind that I was in, I couldn't exactly give the phone to my kidnappers because that's after they've
No,
already
yeah.
like held me up, then that's kind of like putting myself in danger. So I kind of I dedicated my time to find out what people wanted
have a
to do
question.
with the phone. Yeah,
Why didn't you just give the phone to Baker?
because she didn't see me physically and I didn't know what to do with it. And as I said, I was feeling pretty not great after having a gun held up to me.
I mean, she said she was in Vespucci Police Department and gonna come down to the lab.
What the fuck?
Come on out. The fuck was that? Was someone on the
Shooting out front.
Oh yeah, someone down out there, I think. I'm not sure. Can't really see. These windows are muddy. Jesus Christ. Candace, did you plan a distraction?
God, no.
Alright, we're waiting till Archie gets back and the sheriff and such.
Okay.
If someone just decided to shoot up the police department.
Probably one of the people we fired.
Maybe. We saw as the PD fire.
It's the Vespucci Queens. It's my girls, my hitman.
Jesus.
I didn't know it was a shooting range. I didn't even know we had one.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
we
do
got
have
one
one, yeah.
downstairs,
Okay,
yeah.
that was loud though. Jesus. I swear maybe it was Archie outside I seen running by. Alright, we'll just wait for everyone to return.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, even
Okay.
though we were back in here.
All good.
Sure.
Okay, so
I don't know where Harold is, but hey, we can continue without for them.
oh yeah, fuck. Sorry, don't wait for Harold.
It's fine. He can. I don't know where he's gone. So there's enough up in the room. Unless anything's really important to the whole thing. Depends what you're gonna say.
Okay, well, I have a couple of things. So I guess to answer your questions in the first place is Baker she was going to come to VPD, but then once I figured it out, she decided to like stop going to VPD. So that's why I didn't see, I didn't give her the witness statement physically. And then the whole following day after the kidnapping, I was honestly trying to take the whole day to try and find anyone to hand the phone to, basically. Firstly I went to Faraday, who then sent me to Baker, and then Baker wanted to go command first before touching it. And so I was trying to give it to someone, but
Why
unfortunately...
not just put it in the report?
Because, as I said, I felt like it would look way worse putting a phone in there that may or may not be able to be used, and then, like, taking it back out and putting it back in would just look way worse than figuring out what to do with it in the first place and whether it can actually be used in this situation.
And I think in actuality, though, if we look at it now in hindsight, probably not putting it in there is probably worse because.
Yeah, I understand
with-
that
with
now. Yeah, but that was my thought process as I through it anyway.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, I appreciate it.
Also, I do have a question about the giving it back. How would you guys return it? Would you have to like?
That's what we need to
subpoena
figure
it?
out, Candace.
Would you have to subpoena
Yeah.
it first to find out whose it was because it was locked?
We can't do it because we have no grounds to subpoena it. So, Lou, do you want to quickly touch on how subpoenas for phones work no matter what? Because Lou is well versed in this and he's done it many times.
Yeah, no matter if it's a burner phone, a jailbroken phone, or a regular phone, you need to subpoena it. You subpoena it to find out who the owner is. If
Mhm.
there's no owner, then you subpoena for the records.
Okay, so I have a question for that. How do you subpoena a physical phone with no number and no name?
I'd argue that you can see the phone, but you stated that you went through the text messages and the phone calls.
Okay, but how do you subpoena a physical phone with no number, no name, and it's locked? You can't get into it. Which you technically shouldn't unlock to then go and find everything. So how would you go about that?
I would probably go to the DOJ about it.
Okay, so there is nothing set in stone right now of what to do with that.
No, I think what Lou's touching on is I believe if you put it in the hacker machine and you told us, yeah, I looked at it and I went into it and I looked at the SIM number and got the number off it, right? And that was all you did.
Yeah.
There would be an element of okay, that's probably okay, right? You didn't go through the person's everything. Now, obviously, it's not okay because it's a kind of not even fruit of the poisonous tree at this point. It's it was handed to you with criminal intent in a sense, like it was stolen off someone. But if you had a phone of someone and you didn't have it, then you would probably be able to get the number that way, and then you'd subpoena everything, I believe.
I'd probably subpoena to unlock the phone.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's personal
Subpoena,
property.
you're just going to find a number. You would specifically articulate you're not going to go on the cars or the checks in the original subpoena. You're just subpoenaing to search and find. Like that's your scope, right? It's just to find the number. Your scope is just the number and the registered owner. That's it. You get it, and once you get, you would expend the subpoena.
Okay, so and by the way, I just want to tell you guys that I'm only asking this for future reference for if I am in a
No, for
situation
sure.
like this.
It helps
Like, I
clarity
know
of
I-
all the department,
yeah.
Candace.
I just
Exactly,
wish
like,
you asked before,
I know I
Candace.
fucked up this time, but so okay, so actually, so you say like you have to get the phone number and then like the owner. The reason I skimmed through the texts was because I couldn't find the actual owner that way. But are you saying that like if
The
I got the
violation,
number,
you just
then
need the
you
I'm saying
then
you
you
don't
subpoena
even
through
do
that
that.
way?
You don't even do that. You subpoena to get into the phone to pull the number.
Okay, so three of you have said different things. I think the problem is
Me and
is
Errol
that
just
there's
said the
like
same exact thing.
no,
No, I agree with
No,
those
you're
two
not.
ones.
You have what two of you have said to like unlock it and just say that you're only going there for number. You've said to subpoena for the phone without unlocking it, and I think this is the problem. I'm not trying to judge you guys or anything like that. I just think that there is no clear guidelines of what to do with these locked phones that may or may not be burners. So I just want to make sure it's clear so I know what to do in the
burner
future.
part of it has no relevance.
I think it
But
does.
the burner part, you
It
can see the
holds-
phone number on the back
no
of it, right?
relevance because
No,
regardless,
because it was
it's
locked.
personal property.
And it looked like it was a burner because the burners,
see.
I assume, look the exact same as a phone with the attachment on that is not a burner phone. So there's a
Right,
problem
but
there that
it-
we've
it-
probably
it
addressed
does
too.
not matter if it's a burner phone or not. It's still a phone. It's still personal property.
How do you
But I
subpoena
think-
a phone
Yeah,
that
go
you
ahead.
don't have any information on?
You subpoena
Wait.
to go through the phone.
How is she supposed to know that?
No, and we will get to that.
By asking or realizing as a police officer that people have Fourth Amendment rights.
Well,
think the
that
bigger
would
issue is-
be, you know, that is
We're kind of talking in circles here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
To,
let's just.
move on.
I think moving past that, procedurally, we'll make sure the guidelines are up to date and CID will work on something with them, and we'll get something properly published. How to do it, like
Yeah.
on the DOG or DA guides, right?
yeah,
I
that'd be
think
great.
the problem kind of we have is that phone was given to you, and it wasn't like you wasn't a cop saying, "Hey, this guy's been robbing 20 cars, and you found this guy, and he's got this phone on him, etc., etc." There wasn't that sort of logic into it. It was, "Hey, I was in the shootout, and I got this guy's stuff." It was kind of that, and it's that's kind of the issue with it all, in some senses. But I agree. The whole process, I think, the policing stuff were addressed. The not responding to 911s, that's being addressed. The people failing to report is being addressed. The issues with cops not all being on the same page about phones, we'll address that as well. So I think probably then, unless you've got any queries you want to spring out now, and Archie, I'll give you a point to talk if you just got anything you think may help Kansas case, but you can confer with.
I would like to highlight things, if that's okay.
Do we agree it's okay?
Sure.
I'm fine with it. Go
I
ahead.
won't deviate from
Hey.
what Candace
No,
has said.
yeah.
Just to highlight. I want to highlight that none of this would have happened if Candace, what Candace has gone into, which she's admitted that she is wrongdoing, wouldn't have happened if there was not the initial failure of Baker, one, taking the statement, and two, taking the phone of her. There's been an initial failure to treat Candace like an actual victim, and that's what's led us down this path of subsequent failures to where we are now. That's another one I want to highlight.
I think on that we
Um,
agree.
Yeah, we
Yeah, that's noted.
here.
Thank-
We leave it in here. Just making my way through in my head. Bear with.
All right.
And the other really thing I'll point out is I've looked at the burner phone, or sorry, the jail phone subpoenas, and yes, the documentation. We can make the assumption that all cops should know and they should have perfect knowledge of the Fourth Amendment, but none of the announcements reference that you need a subpoena. They really reference basically if you know what you're doing, fine. If you don't, speak to command, and there can be some assumption based off the conversation with Baker that she thought she knew what she was doing. There's nothing in there about subpoenaing, which, yes, we can say that's common sense or whatever, but that much needs to be taken into account.
Absolutely. We're factoring the whole kind of technical aspect of these phones is new to the police department as a whole. And a lot of the information is foggy to most officers, if not all.
Yeah.
And that is taken into consideration in this situation, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
And then the last thing I'll say is we keep mentioning the phone is stolen. It's assumed to be stolen.
Well, let me just reference a point here. In the initial testimony given by Candace said that Ray said it was stolen. She stole it off the Marabunta. That was removed after the fact, falsified and removed. That was one of the issues of why this was called.
That was
right?
also my assumption. I don't actually remember her specifically saying stolen.
Okay.
I just wrote stolen because I assumed that, which was
I hope
honestly
she
my
didn't
mistake.
see it, you know. Such
All
a
right, well,
nice
yeah, just-
businesswoman.
Even still, if
Optics
you
are-
assume it's stolen, it's that plays a factor as well as to
Yeah.
maybe you
It comes,
should have
it comes back to that circle conversation of, well, how then do you return it? Which even everyone here seems to be on different pages. So at least
Well,
that's the part I want to highlight.
the DA wants us to talk about that because that will probably be dealt with by them. But again, that's just open-ended at the minute. I'm not sure what's going to happen with that.
The other thing I'll ask to be factored is the impact. At least I can see at the moment, it doesn't seem like there's a huge impact. The things are being accessed, and I think at the most it will be the phone is returned and, hey, we've looked at the phone by accident. We've not disclosed anything. We've not recorded anything. Here's your phone back. And even then, I think that impact is minimal. If they go to court, then that's a different story, of course, but I think impact needs assessed. But other than that, that's all the points I wanted to highlight.
Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for doing that. Right. Well, what we're probably doing, we'll have a chat between us lot here. We'll have a chat. We'll see where we are, and for maybe 10-15 minutes, hopefully max, because we have been here a while. I agree. With probably everyone in here that we've been here a while. So we'll try to do that. If we can't make a decision right this minute, then we'll make a decision about what we're doing, if you're suspended, all that sort of stuff. All right.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Give us a moment then,
Thank you.
Archie and Candace. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm gonna be drinking.
I'm gonna be
this whole
straight
time.
with you, Candace.
Yes.
You're gonna listen to me very carefully, and you're gonna
Mhm.
take it very seriously. All right.
Mhm.
Now, I'm in a tough position. Everybody here is in a very, very, very tough position.
Mhm.
All right. You violated somebody's Fourth Amendment rights.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You did not go through proper procedure. We have also taken into account that there was a failure on the department's part from when you were a victim. You were failed in the first part by not having your report taken by the first officer. You were also failed by Baker by her instructing you to write your own statement. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But as we have seen, you did edit your report, which is very damning, which I might say. I'll start taking a look at this after I heard your response and your testimony. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That is awful. Okay. Although at the same time, you shouldn't have been put in a position to write your own statement. I understand that. You also have a lack of understanding of what it means to go through a phone, go through the contents of a phone, when that is somebody's personal property. That is somebody's private information. You, as an officer, should know that that information being private, you need some kind of search warrant for. It be in the form of a subpoena or whatever else. Okay? Unless you have PC immediately to go through that information, which you did not. You received a phone from somebody who got into a shootout with another gang who you believe it belonged to members of a gang who could have been your kidnappers, which in the first place put you in a conflict of interest. Okay. Now, I do understand that you went through the proper procedure in terms of going to an officer and having them take your statement or whatever else, but you handled the evidence yourself. Okay. You were a victim in that. And again, at the same time, you shouldn't have been handling that evidence. Whether it should have been evidence or not, which it shouldn't have been, it's somebody else's possession. You had no PC to have that phone or to be searching through it. Okay. Now, we're in a very difficult position because you violate somebody's Fourth Amendment rights. Any officer that does that, they should be straight up fired. Okay. I should be firing you right now. But we understand the failure on the department's part for a lack of training, a lack of available information regarding phones. Although you should know not to go through the contents of a phone, what led you to going through that phone in the first place was a lot of vague information. Okay. And there's also a failure on the department's part in terms of the procedure. You were a victim. You shouldn't have been filing your report. All that jazz, okay?
Yeah.
So if it wasn't for the failure of the other officers, you would be fired. Do you understand?
Yes.
Now, we will have to implement new training procedures. We will have to implement making sure we got all the information out there for people. But one thing you should know is a very basic thing for an officer is somebody's Fourth Amendment rights, not to illegally search through somebody else's property, okay? Should not be doing that. So, you will be demoted to a non-solo cadet to go through retraining and still pending termination, depending on the summary, on the judgment, whether it be a court order if they find you to a felony if charges are pressed, or based on some sort of summary from the DA's office when we bring it to them. Okay? So that's the middle ground, because there has been some back and forth between us in terms of straight up termination or full retraining. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the best we can do right now. You're going to go through full retraining. You're going to go to academy. You're going to make sure that you do police in the proper way and you have full knowledge of the law and everybody's rights as citizens of the state of San Andreas. And yeah, you're still subject to termination depending on what we get from the DA's office or a court order if you get sued, because it's also going to fall on the department because you acted as a police officer. Okay, it's not going to be a civil suit against you as a person. You use police tools and police procedure, albeit or police procedure and equipment to go through that stuff. Even if it wasn't used against anybody, it's still somebody else's possessions. Is that understood?
Yes. So the determination depends on
If
whether they sue and what the DA's office is?
It's whether the individual sues, but the DA's office may also decide to press charges anyway. And if they find if you're found guilty of any kind of felony or to be in violation of somebody's Fourth Amendment right, taking into account the failure of the department as well, you will be terminated.
Okay.
Because if we have an officer that is found guilty of violating somebody's Fourth Amendment right, then we can't have that. We can't have officers or deputies that are doing that. but we will also make sure that all is taken into account, including the failure of the department on multiple steps where you were a victim. And that evidence and your statements were not taken off your hands. You had to do things yourself. Because I understand that even if I went to multiple people to try and get things done and nothing was happening, I would do shit myself. But I understand as an officer that I cannot go through the contents of somebody else's phone. All right? At that point, I'm violating somebody else's rights. That's somebody's phone. That's somebody's private information. You should know that. Okay? You understand everything I'm telling you.
Yes. You mentioned felony. Do you know what kind of felony could be pushed?
Well, that depends on. I mean, we're gonna bring this to the DA's office and do right by that.
It depends
And,
on any push you up.
And they may not. They may say, you know,
Hey,
this,
man,
it
just go,
seems like we've dealt
"Nah."
with it, and you know they aren't going to look at criminal. But you still open yourself up to some civil liability here, like, and we have as a department to do.
They police the police when it comes to charges, right? So it's
We're not
Otherwise,
gonna
we'll
sweep this
investigate
under the
ourselves.
rug, okay? Well, we have to hold ourselves accountable as law enforcement officers and departments that operate under the state of San Andreas, okay?
Yeah.
We don't stand for any kind of corruption. Not saying that what you did was intentional. There's certainly some flaws in there, and I'm not entirely confident that you didn't just remove that thing off there because you were worried about the consequences, being unaware that you could see the history. Okay? I'd hope you didn't lie to us, but
Everything I said was the truth.
okay. Okay.
And
I feel like she
Candace,
wouldn't have
just,
texted about it either, if she was trying to hide it.
well, there's some timings on that, but we won't get into that now. I think the sheriff summed it up. But
Sure.
the whole phone thing is being looked at thoroughly, as I say, like procedure, how we educate, and that will be educated across the board, because I believe, you know, that needs to be clear as day, right? When we deal with these sort of things. So we'll see. But you got any queries, questions, concerns right now for anything? Sounds like I'm sending you off to jail, but I'm not.
I think that's it. Non-solo, I have to wait for someone to take me out, right?
Yeah, so there's an
Hey,
academy. Harold?
Academy is the second. So we want you to go through it because a lot of this is a failure of your training. And I was thinking about it, you know, when did Kenneth get hired? You were the first ever cadet. Remember, you didn't go through the academy, so you haven't been able to go through the same training as everyone else. You know, a lot of you know, deputies that transferred in at a higher level than you, they were put through unburden and FTO and training, and you kind of went in this like strange middle ground where you didn't get like you know, more vigorous training. So that's why we want you to go to the academy. It's the second. I believe there is going to be a boot camp. I think on Wednesday. So the upcoming Wednesday will be a boot camp. It'll be announced. You know, you're not going to be stripped of you know, the ability to see announcements and everything. So keep up to date with that.
Yeah. You'll be suspended until that academy, because we still need to talk to the DA's office and all that jazz.
And we want to try and see if we can get
until the second?
Yeah, so we want the DA to get it.
Wait to say that now.
First, so you're not in like this limbo, you know, because these cases can be done pretty quickly. So you know, we'll bring it to them. Hopefully today, tomorrow, you know, we'll be able to find out if they pushed it out. You know.
Okay, so you'll find that one out pretty soon then, so I won't be in too much.
We'll
limbo.
try and get all this
hope so,
expedite.
you know. Was there anything you missed? Oh yeah, because you're demoted. When you get back in uniform, you're gonna be in a long sleeve, Candace. Yeah, long sleeve, no shirt sleeve. Would you didn't read everything on do you want me to still do those things or no?
Sorry, what
Well,
did you say?
I said I read everything.
No, you missed the one about the probation thing.
Oh shit, yeah. You can say that.
All right. Yeah, essentially gonna be on like parole for situations. We went to rebuild you from the ground up, and where the expectation is there's gonna be no major infections. You're still gonna make mistakes as a cadet. We want you to make mistakes. You know, and you'll be trained on those. But refer to the SOPs for moderate and major infections. This situation was definitely a major one. But let me take a look.
Yeah, that was actually gonna be one of the questions I was gonna ask. Like, am I gonna be allowed to make mistakes? You know, other cadets would, because I know I'm probably gonna be
you'll be able to make cadet mistakes and minor infractions, which would be like failure to fill out paperwork, complaints from general public, disrespecting chain of command. That stuff is okay. But things like minor infractions, mishandling of evidence, high degree of insubordination, multiple complaints from public, failure to respond to things like 78, 30, go to SOPs and read the moderate and major, and those will be like the violation of their probation thing, okay?
Okay, and how long is this probation?
60 days.
Felony class A.
60 days.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's about the time I've been in this goddamn place.
Well,
Jesus
listen,
Christ.
Candace, consider yourself very, very lucky that you're not terminated.
For a mistake. Okay, well, what uniform am I wearing?
You'll go back to the cadet uniform.
Yeah. You're not LSPD, so you have to reapply.
Yeah, you're gonna be in the gross navy.
Disgusting.
Gross Navy, and I believe the pay at the moment is somewhere around non-solo to solo is when you would interview with a department.
So I have to
Yeah,
interview.
you interview with the department before you're able to
You
do
re-
your
yeah,
solo
reach out.
patrol.
So, Rangers, again.
Can I go straight to highway?
I mean, there's opportunity for that potentially.
I don't
Depends.
know. Faith, can someone as a cadet go to highway patrol?
No.
Guess not, Cam.
Okay.
They can do your traffic modules though, so you can spend some time with them,
Yeah.
understand how they operate, and then once you come back as an officer, then you can look towards maybe working with them and making that move.
I'll just still focus on those things and prove to him that I want to still join it. So.
Okay.
I have no cash. You
Mo-
kicked out of the Grapeseed group chat.
Oh.
By the way, you didn't tell us your phone got stolen. What if the Mara Butt has been reading my farming turks?
I
Oh, they
mean,
definitely have.
that
They
was-
definitely fucking have, Harold.
I
But
mean, that
will
was
tell
a
you,
fun
I'll tell you one thing, Harold.
like.
It probably put him to sleep on a couple of occasions there,
Hey.
I don't even know if they're in it
Come on,
anymore.
Nanshaw, no
Okay,
nice
hopefully not.
Steve. Not too bad.
Candace, there's an announcement out, I think came out early this morning about the times for the academy. There will be 3 sets, I believe.
Let me
That's
see.
That's
Are
oh,
they
FTO
just-
Academy.
that's FTO.
the
Sorry, no,
FTO
there'll be a
Academy.
follow-up coming out. It'll be similar like that, though. It'll probably be similar timings, I would assume,
Yeah,
for the
it's going to
next
begin
one when
on
they...
the 2nd, I believe.
What's the one
I
this
do have
weekend?
something on the
Three sets.
2nd, so.
I
Well,
Yeah,
depends
talk
what
to
time.
Nash or Metzke about it.
Boot camp.
I never see either of them, Unfortunately. Is there anyone
they're
in my
like
time zone I can
starting
talk to?
I'm better will be
FTS
6
is,
to
yeah.
9 a.m. by the
That's
way.
goes around right now.
He is around right now.
What's happening this weekend? Is that another an academy?
No, that's the
Jeff
FTO
Fair
Academy.
And the FTO Academy this weekend.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
It's like
and
FTO
then-
training.
So we want to make sure that all the
okay.
FTOs are up to par.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah, and then we got a job fair for government jobs as well. So if civilians are interested in government jobs, they can come to this job fair thing.
Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
You know, if this weekend was an academy, but that makes sense.
No, yeah. It's the FTO one, and then there'll be a
Yeah, we
follow-up
want to
one, like
scrub
a
up
boot
the
camp,
FTOs before we, give them cadets.
before we scrub up the rest.
Yeah.
And make
Can I
sure
ask
they're
for
getting scrubbed up.
clarity? Candice, you might be clear on this, but I'm getting like mixed signals for this. Is she being punished, or is because I'm hearing a lot of we failed you, we've not
She
delivered
is being punished
training,
for
so
her
you're gonna
undercover
go-
police officer, yeah. But then for the other stuff, like we understand the holistic
That's why she's
picture.
not being terminated.
Yeah, the scope of the
Because-
situation is this: that we believe that her rights violation should result in a termination, but based on the fact that this all stemmed from the police force failing Candace, we think that she deserves a second chance. Okay.
Okay.
That's It reduces.
And then we
to
believe
the
it's to
bare
do with
minimum.
education, right? Like we believe that the failings on Candace's part aren't in malice, but they're in education and training.
Hey,
Okay.
we just suspended her for 2 weeks. She's just gotta do something else, That's why we want to try and help her out to be a better LEO.
Okay, I think that's a lot more clear because I was getting a bit mixed signals.
Yeah,
as
no,
well,
worries,
not
no,
as-
you-
it's all
I
bad
apologize
Candace or
about that.
not. No, it's trying to build her up.
It's not
Okay.
about bad candidates, but ignorance and negligence are not not excusable things for police officers.
I
I
understand.
understand that there's also some other things that led up to that happening, even if that shouldn't have happened. That's all taken into account.
Okay, I understand. Thanks for clarifying.
Right. I appreciate we've all been here a very long time, and I appreciate everyone spending their time and
Yes,
coming
it's
down
got
and
the
just making
first
sure we
time.
get it
I
cleared.
went to another meeting and came back, and you are still in this meeting.
Yeah, well, this is, I think, probably more important than you trying to get ADAAs fired or whatever.
Trying,
I do have
Okay,
one
it's success-
question.
succeeding.
So after
Eh?
all of this, and after 60 days,
That may be reviewed depending on how you,
Yeah,
get on.
that is totally
Okay.
reviewable based on your performance.
is
Okay,
am I
please don't
still gonna
stress
be?
out.
Am I still gonna be
But
held?
listen here, Candace. You should not be worrying about this whole 60-day thing because you shouldn't be fucking up in the first place. You don't have leeway to fuck
okay.
around as an officer. Okay?
Yeah. Okay. So that's
You're
what
gonna-
I'm asking is sorry. I understand. I understand what you're saying. I do. I just after all this time, after the punishment's done, is my slate gonna be like clean, or is it still gonna? am
If
I
you
still
proved
gonna
yourself,
kind
we're
of
not going to
be-
double jeopardy you.
This
Okay.
is a fresh start for you.
I
Okay.
actually hate to tell you, like, you're wondering if, like, a year from now, let's say you've been 8 months scot-free, are we gonna say, we don't want to provoke Candice to F you or Kepper because she made that mistake when she was a brand new hire. I don't think that's personally that's a mentality I don't want to have. I think
No,
there needs to
I
be
agree.
a time period of a great performance and showing improvement and development in our policing, and that I think it's like how we are as current is how we should review someone. I don't think the past should be ignored, but it's kind of like how did they improve from it? How did they learn?
I think you can argue it's a great test of character for you to come back from this and be
Yeah.
a great officer.
It's just the only reason I ask is because people are like constantly bringing up like the beer thing to my face, which was just
Who is?
Well, they shouldn't
me
be.
having a
Who
rough
is? Because we can
time.
deal with it.
I forget
mean,
about it.
If the other officers are coming at you, giving you shit, or that was
A
a
drink.
done and dusted thing, right? Like you've been punished for
Yeah,
that. You've
uh-huh.
served your time.
Yeah.
Now,
Maybe,
that hasn't been factored into this current situation because this,
Okay.
as I say, when everything is in malice or you just being an alcoholic or whatever, it's that's a completely separate event. So, but moving forward, if you turn up drunk on duty, yeah, that's probably you're starting to push the line into moderate infractions and whatever else because you're putting people in danger, right? So,
Mhm.
but I think out of this, if you can get through it all, you can prove yourself, learn it all. I think in the future, if something like this ever came up again and there was another officer, in the force and they had trouble with something like this and they could come to you and it'll be done properly, because that you got
Mhm.
failed by cops in that sense and you don't want to fail other people. Nor do
Yeah,
we. I mean, all this
exactly.
is a learning experience.
I mean, look, everything anyone's ever taught me, I do retain. So it's just a case
Well-
of learning.
Yeah. Take this lesson. Well, show us that what we're doing here is the right thing rather than terminating you. Don't make us look like fools, because if you make me look like a fool, I'll come down hard on you.
I understand.
And we won't visit your cabaret.
Hey, let's keep that separate. It's not personal.
Well, speaking of cabaret, we should probably cut you loose so you can get there, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ah,
I'm going to my
maybe we
lunch
drive
break.
you up.
Okay, at least
Yeah,
you
I
have
need
the
to-
business license.
yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, it was the first official day of opening today, so they said it was really busy and a lot of people were there.
You weren't there, I say.
Yeah.
The day's not over.
It was really nice from what I heard. One guy tried to cause trouble. He shot a rifle from a rooftop and we bagged him immediately. So
We got a
Oh,
nice,
nice,
complaint about
good.
it too.
Good.
All right, we got some more meetings after this thing. So
Okay, so I'll have to wait
Oh,
to hear
you're
what the DA
fucking
says,
joking.
and then I'll know for certain that
we'll
this
keep
is
you in the loop,
Yeah.
okay,
Okay.
about that.
we will
but-
keep you apprised of that. Don't worry.
Okay.
We'll,
Perfect.
contact you. Okay.
Okay, great.
All right. Okay. All right. Well,
Candace,
thank
I'll be
you.
there in a sec.
Archie, thank you so
Okay.
much for coming as well. I know
Perfect.
this was
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm gonna
appreciate
hang
sitting
back
there
a sec. I
just
got a command question, but
absolutely.
Okay. Well, thank
I'll
you
be there in a
guys for
sec. Thanks, Candace.
listening. I appreciate it.
If Nash
And
is
you know,
outside,
if
then
my
you can introduce
mistake,
yourself.
yeah, Oh, Nash is.
Nash is out here.
Oh, okay.
There's Nash.
If my mistake.
Oh, if wait. No, I haven't finished it. If my
Okay.
mistake makes the office, makes the force a better place and helps people learn more, then fuck it, I guess.
Well, we're gonna call
I
this
made a
the
mistake
fit
and I'll be better.
precedent. This whole setup.
Oh wow.
Okay.
But you
Check
understand it can make us look like a worse place by still having you on after this.
Yeah.
Because it's probably going to get wind to the public.
Yes, I understand.
Don't go parading us around your cabaret or anything like that. Obviously, you know, keep this close to your chest and.
Look, I didn't tell anyone why. I definitely had to tell, you know, the people I work with at the cabaret, like that I was suspended, but I didn't specify details. Don't worry.
Okay, yeah, maybe you can leave them out until only people who need to know.
Oh, look, it's a fucking pain to explain anyway. I'd rather not.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah. Okay.
All right,
thank
Candace,
you guys.
thank you so much for coming down.
Thank you.
To get them to listen to me.
I feel like during that time they thought that maybe I failed her as a cop, but it's like I was doing my job as a cop, but I was also doing someone else's job that should have done their job with her.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you like your job, you know what you're doing, so.
How about you do me a favor? I know you don't really want to, but can you write me a statement? Okay.
I also need to unlock a phone too, and I can't remember where it is.
Oh, sorry, ma'am.
Is it your phone?
Sorry.
No. So no, they've got my phone, and they held me at gunpoint for my PIN, so I had to give it to them. I've got a new one, and then I've got this other one that needs unlocking that may be included in this situation.
There's already 2 people firing. I was like, they got it.
Either that or it's in the evidence room.
Either fourth or evidence.
Evidence is on -2. It might be in the lab. I think it's either in the lab. I don't know at VPD. 1 second.
Wait, that was multiple places.
Let me look in the announcements. 1 sec.
Yeah, I was trying to have a look. I couldn't find it.
That looks like the lab. So if you go to the announcements and you go up to where the 26, do you see that? Yeah, it's the lab -2. You see it? 26. It's like a lab. It's like a desktop in the lab on -2. You can come show it to you if you need me to.
Oh,
if you give me like 5, I can come try it.
Yeah, okay, sounds good.
Okay, I'm at the Melt Zone. I just gotta take a statement. I'll be there.
Okay,
right,
see you in a minute.
All right, I have to go. Candace needs me in the lab for something. Text me when you figure out. I gotta go help a fellow colleague in the lab.
I will, of course.
All right, I appreciate you. Bye, babe. Love you. I want to let you know. So during that whole thing as well, I never helped her once.
Let me ask you a question that they asked me. How would you punish me in this situation? Oh. Oh yeah, well, you know, I would have much preferred you punish me then. Jesus. Hi, my name's Candace.
Hi, Candace.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, everyone. So I made an oopsie and I got demoted to Master Cadet. So that's why I'm here. But don't worry, I am so excited to learn. Very, very excited.